All right, so this is how we solve equations that have fractions in it. How many of you love fractions? You're like, yes, I love fractions. You just get like really happy when you see an equation with fractions in it? No? So we're going to eliminate them. Okay? So don't confuse this with getting a common denominator. Because if we have a common denominator, what do we still have? Fractions, right? If we have a denominator, that means there's fractions other than 1. So we're not getting a common denominator, we're getting rid of the denominator. But we do that by multiplying the numerators by the least common multiple of the denominators. So in other words, and remember this is technically over 1, right? What is the next smallest number that 2, 1, and 3 all multiply into? 6, right? Least common multiple of 2 and 3 would be 6. So what we did, we go through and we multiply every numerator by 6.
Does the denominators go away after this?
Yep. We'll see why in just a second. If you multiply every numerator by a number that you know the denominator goes into, what's going to happen?
It's going
to divide out. It's going to be a nice, pretty whole number, and we won't have to deal with fractions anymore. So starting off, what is 6 times x? 6x over 2, right? Now some of you can probably skip this step and you see what's going to happen. But now the next one, what is 6 times 5? 30 over 2 minus 6 times negative 3 would be minus 18, which is over 1, equals 6 times 2x, 12x's, over 3, minus 6 times 1 is 6, over 3. Now I'm showing every step here, but a lot of you can probably skip this step I just did, because you can see that 6x over 2 actually simplifies to how many x's? 3 x's. 6 over 2. Plus 15 minus 18 equals 12 x's divided by 3. It's 4 x's minus 6 over 3. And now we have eliminated the fractions. So you're back in Algebra 1. Go ahead and find x. What did you guys get? You guys get negative 1? So subtract the 4 x's over. I'm going to add the 3 over. Negative x equals 1. Therefore, x equals negative 1. So it says solve the equation for x by eliminating fractions. So we have 5 over x squared minus 17 over x plus 6 equals 0. So we're gonna combat this the exact same way we just did. First, multiply the numerators by the least common multiple of the denominators. Simplify, cancel, and then solve what's left. Okay, so what do all of these denominators multiply into? Pretend that x is 2. So 1 is 1, x is 2, and x squared is 4. So what do 1, 2, and 4 multiply into? 4, right? 4. So x squared is the answer to that. 1 times x squared is x squared. What would I need to multiply x by to get x squared? Another x. And what would I need to multiply x squared to get x squared? 1. So all three of those denominators can multiply into x squared. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply everything by x squared. Now, I know 0 times x squared is going to be 0, so that doesn't really matter. But sometimes it's something other than 0 over on the other side of the equation. So it's good practice just to still write it in. Make sure you're multiplying everything by x squared. So now we have 5x squared over x squared. And once again, some of you can probably skip this step and you know what's going to happen. Minus x squared times 17 is 17x squared over x plus 6x squared equals 0. So once again, the fractions should eliminate. So what is x squared over x squared? 1. X squared divided by x squared is 1. Those cancel. We're left with 5. Minus, what happens when I have x squared on top? So 2x's on top and 1x on bottom. How many are going to cancel? 1 of each, which leaves how many x's? 1x. So minus 17x plus 6x squared equals 0. So at this point, we're basically in quadratic mode, so I'm going to rewrite it in ABC form. So 6x squared minus 17x plus 5. Now this is a tougher bottoms up. It factors, but both of the denominators end up being bottoms up. So give this a practice, see if you can find the values of x. So what factors have 30 added to negative 17? Negative 15 and negative 2. Don't forget to do the whole bottoms up portion of bottoms up, divided by 6, divided by 6. Now this is what I was talking about. Neither of them are going to simplify to a whole number. They do simplify, you have to do that, but we don't get a nice pretty number out of this. So what is 15 over 6 reduced to? They both divide by 3, good, so x minus 5 over 2. And then 2 6 is going to reduce to 1/3. And then we take our bottoms up. So 2x minus 5 is this factor. This factor is 3x minus 1. And then, if you haven't caught on yet, the answers are just going to be the opposites of these. So it's going to be positive 5/2 and positive 3. But this is technically factored. In other words, if I FOILed this back out, 2x times 3x would take me back to 6x squared. So these are the factors, so I would show the bottoms up, but now to solve it, we just set them equal to 0. We're going to go back to where we came from. So add 5 over divided by 2 is 5/2. Add 1 over divided by 3 is 1/3. So those are your two answers.